Well, good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you all to the October 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Denton County Transportation Authority. We're glad to be here. I want to thank everyone for being in attendance, or those watching online. Thank you. At this time, will all please stand. Cesar Molina will lead us in our invocation, and our pledges will be led by Jody Gonzalez.
Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, I ask you to grant us discernment today as we do the important business of the Denton County Transportation Authority. Help us to act with wisdom, knowledge, and compassion. Thank you for all of your gifts. And with that, I'll say amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge to the United States flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. And the Texas flag. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Thank you, Cesar, and thank you, Jody. I would like to do a couple of comments from the chair. I would like to thank TJ Gilmore. Thank you for doing such a great job as chairman. Let's give him a big hand. Thank you. I appreciate your service and your leadership, and Allison McGuire, I know that this is your last meeting with us today, and we'll do some comments at the end, but I want to thank you for your service as well. And it was needed and welcome and appreciated. So thank you. So we've changed around a little bit of the moving around the chairs a little bit today and next month as well. So Paul, I think you have some other introductions as well, don't you?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. Thank you. First, I would like to introduce a guest with us today, but the newly appointed board member from the city of Denton, Mayor Pro Tem Susie Rumor, who is with us in the gallery. Good morning.
Hello.
And then Mr. Jim Coffey, representing the University of North Texas, is the newly appointed Executive Director of Parking and Transportation, already proven himself a really great partner as we work to build a transportation network in Denton.
I have known Jim for years, and we're glad to have him in that position. All right, at this time, we'd like to go to public comments, and I'll go ahead and read our disclosure here. And so this agenda item provides an opportunity for citizens to address the DCTA Board of Directors on any agenda items or other matters related to DCTA. Each speaker will be given a total of 3 minutes to address any item. Anyone wishing to speak should be courteous and cordial. Speakers making personal, impertinent, profane, or slanderous remarks may be removed from the meeting. Unauthorized remarks from the audience, stamping of feet, whistles, yells, clapping, and other similar demonstrations will not be permitted. Citizens that are not able to participate in person must email his or her public comment to Keisha Morris at kmorris-perkins@dcta.net no later than 3 p.m. on Wednesday, October the 22nd, 2025, to ensure the comments will be distributed to board members prior to the meeting. The board of directors is not permitted to take action on any subject raised by a speaker during public comments. However, the DCTA Board of Directors may have the item placed on a future agenda for action, or refer the item to the DCTA administration for further study or action, briefly state existing DCTA policy, or provide a brief statement of factual information in response to the inquiry. And we do have one registered speaker this morning, and I'd like to welcome Lauren Penn. Good morning. I believe she had a handout for each of us. Good morning. We're glad to have you with us today, and I will be happy to set the timer for you. So go right ahead.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Lauren Penn. I'm a Denton resident, a parent, and I serve on the mobility committee in Denton. And I'm a regular bus rider. I'm here today to advocate for fixed route stops at our city's public libraries, parks, and recreation centers, essential destinations that currently are difficult or even impossible to reach by bus. I live near University Drive and Malone Street in Denton with my husband and my 3 daughters. Their ages are 12, 10, and 2. Even though we have vehicles, my family and I love riding DCTA buses with our kids because it's 50 times safer than driving and it's more enjoyable way to get around town. But we found that in many of our favorite places in Denton, there's no direct bus access. So from our home, we have to walk nearly a mile to the nearest stop, which is often a mile. And then when we get to our stop, it's usually a mile from that stop. It's not feasible for families like us with young children to ride the Go Zone vans due to car seat requirements. We don't want to be lugging car seats everywhere. I've got a QR code on the handout. I documented and took a video of a recent outing where I took my kids and several of their friends to our destination was a civic center pool. We were disappointed that we couldn't get very close. We then had to walk almost a mile in 100-degree weather. And so you can watch our video. It's actually really cute. So what I'm here to share today is this isn't just about personal inconvenience. It's an issue of equity. According to recent census data, nearly 45% of Denton households have only one vehicle. About 3.5 have no vehicle at all. And so for these families, many of whom are low income or single parent or just juggling lots of schedules like we are, access to fixed route transit is critical. Libraries and rec centers are among the most important public resources we have, especially as the cost of entertainment rises. They've got free programs, spaces for kids, opportunities for exercise, and in most cases, they're also voting locations. So these are precisely the kinds of places that should be the easiest to reach by public transit, not the hardest. I also want to point out that as Denton County grows, it's important to reflect the preferences of the next generations. In a survey by the National Association of Realtors, 92% of Gen Z surveyed that they would want to live in a walkable neighborhood. 65% of younger people said living near public transit is very important. So without increasing mobility options or bus stops, it's possible that my home value will decrease over the next few decades. I noticed in the report today that bus ridership is almost at 2019 levels, even with the option of Go Zone. I also saw that Go Zone trips have decreased even, and I believe this is due to the frequent car crashes happening in Denton and sometimes involving Go Zone vehicles. Dentonites simply just don't want to take the risk on the roads. And even when my daughters reach driving age, we aren't planning on purchasing more vehicles and would rely on public transportation for them to get to activities and social events. So I respectfully urge DCTA to consider adding fixed route service to Denton's libraries, rec centers, and major parks. We can't build a truly connected, inclusive transit system unless it serves the everyday places where people and families want to go. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, that was well timed and well spoken, and thank you. Those are some great points. We'll take those under consideration. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here. All right. Hearing no other open comments, we'll go ahead and proceed to the consent agenda. Members, are there any items you'd like to pull off the consent agenda, or do we have a motion to approve as presented?
So moved.
All right, we have a motion by TJ. Do we have a second? Second by Allison McGuire. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Our consent agenda today consists of item 1, consider approval of the monthly financial statements for August 2025. Item 2 is consider approval of an access easement to Lang Sycamore LLC to construct and maintain pedestrian and fire lane improvements on the eastern boundary of the property owned by the Denton County Transportation Authority, DCTA, at the Downtown Denton Transit Center, DDTC. Item 3 is consider approval of contract amendment number 2 for janitorial services with CTJ Maintenance Incorporated, amount of $27,600 for a total contract amount not to exceed $197,448.60 for janitorial services at the bus operations and maintenance facility, downtown Denton Transit Center, and the DCTA Administration Building, including suites 260 and 265 for the period of November 1st, 2025 through September 30th, 2027. And 4, consider approval of a resolution to cancel November 2025 and December 2025 Denton County Transportation Authority DCTA regular board meetings and reschedule for a combined meeting on December the 10th, 2025. 5, consider approval of a regular meeting minutes dated September 24th, 2025. Thank you. Next is our regular agenda. We'll go to item 1, which is discuss and consider approval of a professional services contract with Kimley Horn for architectural and engineering services for a period November the 1st, 2025 through October 31st, 2028, with up to 2 additional one-year periods. Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Chair. Austin Frith, Vice President, Planning and Development. So today we're going to talk through the agenda item as discussed, approval of professional services with Kimley Horn for any services for the period of November 1st, 2025 through October 31st, 2028, with up to 2 additional one-year periods. So back in April of 2024, we provided the board an update on this idea of consolidating our planning and development contracts. We had about 5 overall contracts that were supporting our department and this agency. We decided to consolidate those into 3. To this date, we've awarded an on-call task order-based contract with Lochner for A-Train Enhancement Program. We've also recently awarded a planning services contract on-call with AECOM, and this was earlier this year. So today we're asking for that 3rd approval for professional services for architecture and engineering services. So a little bit of background how we got here. This solicitation was released in February of this year, closed in April. We received 7 proposals that were narrowed down by the selection committee to 4 finalists. Recommended firm was Kimley Horn. After proposal scoring and interviews demonstrated them having the best mix of capability, experience, and value. This is a master professional services agreement with a start date of November 1st of this year. Initial term date ending in 28, and then we have an option for 2 additional one-year renewals. This is, so I'm gonna go back here. This is an indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract, and the task orders will be issued for specific work as it comes. How is the team made up? So Kimley Horn will be the prime consultant overseeing the program delivery, task order management, and quality control across all entities of the scope. We have sub-consultants of Wendell that specialize in facility architecture and design, including station design, operations centers, and ADA accessible passenger amenities. We have Mott McDonald that specializes in industrial, mechanical, and electrical engineering. We have Hatch that concentrates on capital and asset management efforts with emphasis on vehicle fleet lifecycle, system performance optimization, and PTC support. And then finally, we have TRC that is going to help us with environmental, looking at NEPA compliance, permitting, soil and site analysis, and transit-specific design support. So together, we have a comprehensive team that we feel is set up to provide us the support we need moving forward with our capital infrastructure development program. When we look at rates in comparison to the market, we've found that their rates were within the mid-range compared to peer agencies. As you see, we relayed those against benchmark agencies like our current contract with Lochner. Also, we looked at DART's contract with STV and AECOM, TexRail with Bowman, and DFW Airport with H&TB. And as you can see, they're falling right in the mid-range of those benchmarks. We see a balanced cost structure with competitive pricing for senior engineers and project managers. We also have a great local presence that helps us reduce overhead, enables quicker mobilization and better coordination. And again, this task order based contract will allow us to have the flexibility we need to match project needs with the right expertise. As far as the roles makeup, engineering, as you can see, makes up the bulk of the team, which in line matches with where our focus is going to be for this contract. Senior management provides oversight and consistency, making sure that task orders stay on point. Project control staff focuses on accountability. They'll be monitoring budgets, schedules, ensuring what's drawn up is meeting the budget and schedule. Architects and construction managers will bridge design and delivery, ensuring what's drawn up can be built. Environmental specialists handle compliance and sustainability. So overall, this balance is really the team that we need to move forward with our program. So what's upcoming for this contract? We've got bus stop designs, which our planning manager, Karina Maldonado, will brief on what those guidelines look like. But we've got new designs that are coming for our bus stops. The team will start developing new standardized designs for these stops, including shelters, benches, signage, and ADA compliant features. And the goal here is to really make all the stops more consistent, accessible, and easier to maintain. Kimley Horn will also perform inspections of DCTA facilities, more focused on roof and lighting. These are elements that we feel need attention immediately, so they'll be engaged in conditional assessments moving forward for our operations facilities. So with that, our recommendation is to approve this professional services contract with Kimley Horn for architectural and engineering services for the period of November 1st, 2025 through October 31st, 2028, with 2 additional 1-year periods. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Perfect, good. Thank you. It's a great presentation. Members, are there any questions you have? We have a motion for approval. Motion by Cesar. With second? Second by Allison. Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Good. Thank you so much. Let's go to item 2, which is discuss and consider approval of the purchase of 3 35-foot transit buses from Gillig LLC in an amount not to exceed $2,395,900, utilizing Washington State Contract 0671901.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Lisa Taylor, Vice President of Operations. We are here to recommend the approval of the 3 35-foot Gilly buses. Back in March, staff received approval to purchase 3 diesel 35-foot buses on the Washington State contract. The benefits of using the contract was competitive pricing, procurement efficiencies, pre-approved vendors, and customized flexibility. In our fleet plan, we planned and ordered 3 buses for FY25. FY26, we plan to order 3 buses, and that's what we're asking for today. And then FY27, we plan to order 3 additional buses, and we have a federal grant application pending as of today. So in March, when we came, the amount of the bus with 5% contingency was $2,320,000. When we received the final quote in May with a 5% contingency, the price was $2,307,916, which gave us a little savings there. The benefits of board taking action on this will allow DCTA not to incur a price increase from the Washington State contract. And it also will allow the 3 buses we're asking for to go into the queue with the 3 buses already ordered, which will give us 6 buses in the fall of 26 instead of 3. Other considerations are local and capital funds. It's approved in our long-range plan, and all FTA and DCTA procurement are to standard. So the cost of this is $2,395,900 for the 3 buses. There's a 9% contingency. This is an increase from the 5% before. And we got to this number from recommendations from Gilly about the impacts of tariffs. So our next steps after board authorization would be to create a purchase order, schedule a pre-production meeting with Gilly, and then we would coordinate for inspections and also cost estimate with Dakita. And then we need to finalize the paint scheme and understand the cost impact. This is our current scheme. It's a 3-color scheme. Staff has recommended this potential design. It is a 5-color scheme, and it mirrors the A-train for consistency across all modes. Currently, our current contract has the quote includes for 4 paint colors. So what we're doing is we're coordinating with Gilly to understand the pain and the complexities that go along with it. We have to make a final decision and understand how much it will cost before our pre-production meeting in February. And we will keep the board appraised of the impacts as they become known. Also, I want to point out here, one of the things we need to consider is the aesthetics versus the upfront maintenance and the long-term maintenance with all the different colors at the bottom of the bus. Currently, our maintenance department is working really hard to keep the fleet that we have in good condition. Our 1100 series received a new power pump that was purchased because the original part was discontinued. They've been running on the buses for about a month now. We hadn't had any issues. We've replaced the engine and we're rebuilding one. Our 600 series is having a similar issue with the discontinued power pumps, but we're working with Gilly to create a 3D pump. And once it's here, we will install it and test it. Other things that are coming that it was approved in FY '26 is one refurbished bus, a replacement of one cutaway, and 3 non-revenue vehicles that consist of 2 crew transports and 1 maintenance truck. So we're asking approval, we recommend approval for the purchase of 3 35-foot transit buses from Gilly in the amount not to exceed $2,395,900 using the Washington State contract. Any questions?
All right, thank you. Members, do we have any questions of the staff? Yes, go ahead.
Yes. So, Lisa, are the features the same as the 3 ones? Are we getting the same, upgrades that we asked for?
The same upgrades at the same price. The only difference is the difference in the contingency.
Right, so a little higher, okay.
Oh, yes, sir, go right ahead.
And Paul, I think we've covered this briefly, but I'm not recalling. Why are we increasing the spare number? I think we're going from the spare ratio is going to 4 buses from 28 to 32 in summer of 26. I think that's a timing issue with Gillig, or
So if you go back, Lisa, to slide 21. and So what you see on this fleet plan, the green line, the green solid line is our current peak service. It takes 23 buses and then 28 buses provides that spare ratio. When we built the fleet plan, we were thinking about what's going to come with ISP phase 3 and the addition of more buses or
Right.
more bus routes. The yellow line shows what happens when you add those additional bus routes. And we were trying to show that by planning for these purchases as we're somewhere in that window. And now the board's going to make a decision in the next few months about adding routes or not. We're having conversations with UNT about consolidating routes or expanding. So regardless of where those happen, the purchase of this additional 3 buses is going to keep us in that window. We just have to, we're trying to aim for the middle of those lines. And so ultimately our goal is maintain a fleet size and a spare ratio that is not excessive for what we need to provide in service.
okay, thank you.
Make sense?
Yep.
That's great questions. All right, any other questions? All right, I have a motion for approval.
Move to approve as presented.
Motion by Director Gilmore. The second.
Second.
Second by Director Molina. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Excited about that. Next is item 3, discuss updates of intermediate service plan phase 3 and bus stop design guidelines development. Good morning.
Morning again. We've got some exciting updates for the board regarding where we've been and where we're headed with our intermediate service plan. So just to give you all a quick overview of what we've done within ISB phase 2. This is where we built further on Go Zone integration, looking at how we can continue messaging improvements within our overall network. This allowed us to, embark on integration with the Go Zone app and really dive into these university areas where we created expanded buffers in the university areas. So we captured those rides and provided the community a better option to take a fixed route within those greened areas. In addition to this, we also embarked on a soft launch of the GoZone and A-Train integration in May within the GoZone app. This A-Train option is now embedded in the GoZone trip planner, and it lets riders see both modes in a single travel search. Riders receive both combined trip proposals that include GoZone and A-Train transfers when origins and destinations are within walking distance. So this integration makes multimodal travel simpler and more intuitive, reducing any barriers we currently have on on-demand and fixed route services. This is a key step we feel that's in building this multimodal solution for the agency. In addition, we continue to focus on optimizing UNT shuttle routes as part of the broader ISP Phase 2 work. We implemented efficiency improvements identified through ridership data, stop level analysis, and on-time performance tracking. This timeline outlines incremental service changes rolled out through 2025 to align schedules, reduce any duplications we're seeing in the service, and improving coverage. We've been collaborating closely with UNT Transportation Services to ensure routes meet the current student demand while integrating better with the overall network. So these changes will allow the groundwork for Phase 3, what we're working on now. We'll continue to work with UNT on how we can expand this. Additionally, we embarked on the expanded GoZone virtual stop review. This is where we looked at all the points within the GoZone stops in the cities, and we partner with VIA to analyze thousands of virtual stops and to essentially audit those to make sure they're ensuring safe and efficient travel. We also looked at refining target areas with high trip density and incident reports. That's where we're getting all these dots of areas where we can improve within the stop locations. We also launched the transit app integration successfully, and this gives riders a unified tool for trip planning, booking, and real-time updates. GoZone visibility is now extended to all member cities within the transit app, making microtransit a true regional option within the app ecosystem. This integration with Transit Royale, we feel, elevates the rider experience with premium features and clearer multimodal connections. So with that, as we look forward to Phase 3, the vision remains steadfast with developing a single high-frequency bus network that grows ridership and operates more efficiently across the DCTA service area. Phase 3 builds on direct lessons from Phase 1 and 2, using real-time GoZone data and route performance metrics to build a stronger fixed route system. This approach evaluates 4 scenarios, each combining connect routes with UNT and GoZone integration options. So scenarios range, as you can see, from scenario 1 to 4. They range in route consolidations to network expansion. We're testing different combinations of existing and future connect and top UNT routes. Each scenario is analyzed for ridership capture, service coverage, and cost efficiency to identify the best balance of each. So this outcome will guide Phase 3 recommendations in early 2026, positioning DCTA for a simplified service model that's cost efficient, reliable, customer focused. And with that, I'm going to introduce Karina Maldonado. She's going to walk you all through the math behind what we're doing in Phase 3, and then she'll also touch on our bus stop design guidelines.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Karina Maldonado. I'm the planning manager here at DCTA. Before I jump into every scenario, I just want to set up the framework for how we approach this data analysis. If you were here, you're familiar with ISP Phase 1. We took a data-driven approach to look at the latest GoZone data to identify within a 1/4 mile, quarter mile buffer around our network, how many GoZone trips could be captured within that area. So same approach, and I'll walk through kind of the breakdown of data to identify for each scenario what that looks like. So as we look at the data, what we are analyzing is the total completed weekday trips, since that is the core service of our Connect network. We also filtered that down to look at the GO zone trips that are completed between the hours of 7 a.m. and 9 p.m., correlating with the service hours for Connect. All scenarios look at a 20-minute frequency or better. So you can just keep that in the back of your mind that that is kind of the picture that we're painting here. So as you see different colors, the green points that you see on this map are the total fiscal year 25 to August data that we used. Those are all the origins and destinations for all trips completed. You can see that number is 318,000 completed weekday trips. As you look at each scenario and you see these red dots, those are the O and D, the origin and destination trips that fall within the capture area. So with that, this particular scenario, scenario 1, looks at the existing Connect network. So routes 3, 6, and 7 with no modifications. And it looks at a year-round service option for the top 6 highest ridership performing routes for UNT. So you can see this is not reflective of the current service today, which has additional UNT routes. This is specific to the highest performing as we look at efficiencies in our routing. So under this scenario, we see that of the trips in this data set, roughly 57% are captured within this area that have an origin or destination. When you filter that down completely, the key number for every scenario is the total O and D trips specifically within that buffer. Here in this scenario, we see approximately 35%. If you want to break it down further in passengers, we're still looking at a general 35%. Moving into scenario 2, if you recall in the previous ISP presentation, we walked through some considerations for bringing back routes 2 and 4 along US 380 and State Loop 288. We broke down how we came to the routing and the specific challenges with the street network. This is now reflective in this scenario that looks at existing Connect 3, 6, and 7 as the core network with no modifications, and then adding those 2 routes back into service. You'll notice that there's no UNT in this scenario, and that's just to look at the evaluation of separation and what that looks like. So here, you see there's a single or a dual transfer point if you want to see it. There is a connection point along the north side between the two new routes, as well as, if you remember, that capture zone of connection between Route 3 and Route 2. So this provides a capture of O or D at 59% within this buffer. And as we break it down further, we see that the origin and destinations within this buffer increase just slightly to 36.4%. Moving into scenario 3, this is the combination of scenario 1 and 2. What that means is the existing Connect network is maintained. We do add the top 6 highest performing ridership routes for UNT and include the expanded network of routes 2 and 4. When we break down that information, we see a significant increase in O or D within the buffer at 72.7%. And of course, a significant increase in O and D within the buffer at 59%. So that's a very large capture. And just for a frame of reference, when we looked at ISP phase 1 and this data-driven approach, we saw a 10% capture. This is now into the 30s and 60%. So it's very significant. Into the final scenario, this looks at an alternative option where we still keep a single, consistent, and cohesive core network with our Connect and the expanded network of 2 and 4, but looks at a more efficient option connecting a commuter route from Med Park into the UNT area. Geographically, it's roughly the same. The majority of the area is still captured, but we're not looking at all UNT routes in this scenario. And that's just something to consider as we continue our conversations with the UNT to provide more efficient, reliable service and kind of keep those conversations moving. So in this scenario, we see that O or D within the buffer slightly decreases from the previous scenario to 69%. But if you kind of look and pay attention to the O and D within the buffer, we're dropping down to 54%, which is not a significant difference from scenario 3. So 2 really good scenarios to look at. So this is just a high-level summary to put it all together. as we see scenarios 1 and 2, take that kind of not fragmented approach, but a separated approach to see a UNT versus an expanded network, what that looks like at 35 or 37%. And then scenarios 3 and 4 look at a more all-in approach to our network. And you can see the capture there at 60% and 54% respectively. So as we move forward, Austin mentioned that we'll be bringing this back in the spring or in December for more discussion. So the things that we obviously need to look at as we look at all these scenarios is our continued partnership with UNT, continued efforts to create a more efficient network that addresses the system overall. As we talked about earlier with Lisa on the addition of buses, we also have to consider our bus fleet, maintaining and provide a more modernized fleet that can support the base network, but also support expanded service or expanded frequency as we look at a 20-minute frequency or better. We also look at continuing our strategic management of GO zone capacity and how we have that cost savings, how we may reallocate services where they're needed to better right-size our services for our member cities. We also look at associated bus stop infrastructure to make sure that the infrastructure is available to ensure that the capture indeed is being captured in these scenarios. So as folks look at their trip planning, they can actually walk to a bus stop and hop on the network. And the implementation of this would, of course, follow our bus stop design guidelines that I'll touch on in a few slides. And then finally, we're continuing to consider our approach to multimodal trip planning to see how we can better accommodate these first and last mile trips into our network and have a more seamless and connected and integrated multimodal service. So as we continue, we're targeting a board decision in spring 2026 to identify the scenario to move forward with for implementation in late summer 2026 to capture, the core students that return back to Denton before implementation, so they learn the system. But as we go through this, we'll continue to refine these scenarios and continue to look at the cost analysis related to resources for buses, for operators, and look at the cost per passenger analysis that you've seen in the past between GO zone and fixed route. We'll evaluate the service hour savings or potential cost savings and how that could be reintegrated into our system, whether that's serving other member cities or other areas. And then, of course, buffer refinement to better look at the walking and actual walking conditions to join the network, look at stop spacing, whether that's existing stops, new stops, and other opportunities for consolidation of our bus stops. So that brings us into the bus stop design guidelines, which kicked off in February 2025. As you know, bus stops are the gateway to our transit system. They're the first physical experience that a customer has into our system. And for that reason, we want to ensure the standardization and enhancement of these amenities at each stop to provide a better level of comfort and accessibility, especially for our passengers. So these guidelines will apply to all our existing and our future stops as we move forward with our capital planning, and also reflect the federal, state, and local regulations for each member city, whether they have fixed route today or in the future. These guidelines will also offer flexibility in their design. As we know, some areas may have limited right-of-way, limited availability to place amenities, so we'll consider the types of amenities that we choose for our system. So what's included in this plan? And you'll see this in a couple months of a finalized version. We'll have a very graphically pleasing design to show where bus stops will be located, what the ADA regulations are for spacing. That includes sign height, the ability for a wheelchair to traverse through a sheltered area. It'll talk about placement at significant intersections. More specifically, it'll talk about the type of bus stop. We are classifying our bus stops as either a standard stop, an enhanced stop, or a transit center, and each of those typologies will then lend itself to certain amenities. This is a matrix breakdown of what those amenities would look like at each stop. Obviously, a standard stop would have a sign and an ADA pad to meet minimum ADA requirements. But you can see a list of optional requirements, of course, based on what the context is for each stop. If there's right-of-way availability and maybe a request from the public, we might add a bench, a trash bin if it's near a commercial area. But as you can see, the enhanced stops increase the number of amenities, are more likely to be shown near major commercial areas. Includes potential things like real-time information, shelters. And then, of course, our transit centers have the most amount of amenities, as those are our core transfer points and hubs and offer the most comfort and flexibility for our customers.
Could I ask you a question? on
Yes,
this?
sir.
So is the difference between each one just how many riders, boardings and the lightings that that your data shows that you're getting?
Yes, that's a
Okay.
great question. Within this bus stop design guidelines, we will have a prioritized list of all our bus systems classified by each type. What goes into that classification is things like context. Is it near a commercial area, which is a major generating transit stop? Is it just general ridership? Low ridership stops or typically standard stops will just have a sign and a pole. There's things like equity. Is the stop located in an area that needs additional support or has less resources? And then other things to consider is general ADA compliance, right? So there's a multitude of factors that we'll present to the board later that show how we'll prioritize and then designate. All right, and this is when we do present the document, this is something that you'll see. Every amenity type is broken down by the typical stop that you might see it at. So you might see shelters at an enhanced stop and a transit center. You're not going to see them at a standard stop. So each element or amenity is broken down in this way to show where you're going to find them or see them, and then roles and responsibilities for implementing these stops. DCTA obviously will carry a large role in implementing the bus stop system and ensuring that the right amenities are there. However, we may have partnerships with our member cities or TxDOT as they work on their capital projects and work to improve their roadways. We may have to have more coordination where maybe the member cities are providing those and a shared cost. And then also there's opportunity as our area grows for developers to be able to come ahead and say, we're putting this major multifamily and we'd like to put a stop there. It's on your route. And then we work together for them to implement that. So these guidelines are not just for DCTA, but for our external partners as well as developers. So that is the last slide, but we will be presenting this later as we reach into the next phase of this project, which is stakeholder engagement with our member cities, TxDOT and UNT, of course. And so once that document is provided some feedback and finalized, we will be getting that ready for implementation. With that, this is a discussion item, so I'm happy to take any additional questions.
Member, do you have any other questions? Go ahead, Pat.
Hi, great presentation. As a host for a bus stop, on your last slide, I got the impression that the property owner is responsible for some development of the construction of the bus stop.
No, DCTA will take full responsibility of those improvements. We'll ensure that they're designed and appropriately placed based on these standards. What we may encounter based on availability of right-of-way is the potential need for maybe easements to acquire, but the property owners are generally not responsible for those. We maintain responsibility through an ILA with the city of Denton.
Big question. Any other thoughts or questions?
Mr. Chair. Yes, sir. On behalf of Member Gilmore, he had I don't know if this is appropriate for now or maybe a future agenda item,
Okay.
but he wrote, we talked last month about a block of hours for Go Zone that hasn't been assessed or accessed, but was previously approved by the board if needed. And would like to see those hours utilized to get seat unavailability in the Louisville Highland Village area to 7% and the wait times to 20 minutes. And then ultimately in the spring, when we take action on the ISP Phase 3, we'd like to see seat unavailability in Louisville Highland Village at 5% and the wait time at 15, if we can make the cost numbers work. So what he's asking for is exploration of how getting to those times is gonna affect cost.
Yes, sir. And we can, from the conversation we had last month and the feedback along the same lines, we're asking VIA to help us understand what happens when you move levers to add capacity. What can that do to these outcomes? We do have a contract mechanism in place that allows us to have a sliding scale of performance based on how much service is on the street and how many how many trips are requested. And so certainly we can integrate that into the intermediate service plan and if we're able to tee things up for the board to make decisions before bus investment is made, then we will do so. So we have that as a due out and are working on it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much for this. This is really, y'all are doing a great job. A really great thorough analysis. Really look forward to continuing conversation around this. Regarding phase 3 bus route conversations, I'm really glad to see so many of the options that are under consideration involving new versions of routes 2 and 4. I think that those are going to be huge for connectivity and just the overall functionality of the network, adding those new routes. As far as go zone analysis, totally agree that we should be looking at improving metrics in the Louisville Highland Village zone. I would also love to keep as part of that conversation expanding the Denton zone to include the West Park area, the area around the airport and the industrial zone on the west side of Denton. And as far as bus stops go, I think that the analysis and the methodology is really strong. I'd just love to kind of put it on the table that when we talk about seating, we're talking about benches that people can actually sit on and not, I use Trinity Metro pretty often, and they've got these benches that are really high up off the ground and tilted so that, if you're under 5'4", you can't actually sit on them. I would love for us to have benches that people can actually sit on.
That's a great idea. Yes, that's a good job. Perfect. Good. Thank you for those comments. Did you have any response?
No.
Okay.
Well, we will look at the specific amenities in our system, and we may bring that back to the board to what that looks like with the final document.
Perfect. Very good. Very good. All right. Any other questions or comments? Well, thank you so much. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes, sir.
Regional meetings. Standardizing bus stops. And does this get us any closer? I noticed they were going to the regional areas, basically selling this bus stop as well.
Right. So I think part of our analysis should be, and certainly we'll be planning to reach out to DART and Trinity Metro for who are the vendors they're using, what are the features of their amenities, and I think use the best of what is available, but also considering feedback like what board member McGuire just offered. We got to do things that are going to work for our community. So we're trying to, so what is the extent to which we can maximize regionalism while also catering into the needs of our communities? That's a fuzzy space that we're going to walk through.
Purchasing also can.
That's right. And because, yeah, the more we have volume, the potentially more favorable options we have for pricing and all that sort of stuff. So we gotta figure out how to navigate those boundaries.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, good. Thank you so much. All right, let's go to item 4, which is local and regional updates and any legislative updates. So does anyone have any comments related to this? Go ahead. Yes, sir.
On the Transit 2.0, the Vision Transit 2.0, we've had a couple of meetings on that. We had a virtual meeting earlier at the end of last week, and no decisions have been made. We're still in the process of just collecting data. We had a broad discussions on boundaries of transit for the region. They looked at congestion maps. They looked at the penetration of the tollway, where the tollway is, and future growth throughout that area. It's looking like there's gonna be some coalescence about if we were to wipe the slate clean and say we start off with this area that would be where transit would be, it'd probably be just across all 4 counties.
Yeah.
Dallas, Denton, Collin, Tarrant, and probably most of Rockwall. Rockwall is also looking, been realized, but there's so much density, there's so much congestion in that area. There was a lot of discussion about equity of time. And so that was part of the consideration. Equity of time gets into how long a city has been paying into a DART or a DCTA versus a new city. And people always talked about how much money's contributed and trying to get beyond that, but there's still the consideration of we have cities that have been contributing for a long time, and a new city wants to come in, and there's got to be some consideration for that. Again, no decisions yet. We're just throwing things out. There has been also additional discussions and thoughts coming out of Texas Commission. The North Texas Commission has been working with 6 member cities, and Vice Chair Gilmore probably can speak more of it. He's more involved in that. But they are going to share some of the initial thoughts at our next meeting on the 13th. So it's just starting, and it's going to be a process.
It's going to be a long process, but it's a good committee, good composition, and I believe they're going to be trying to focus on what are realistic, achievable things. Although we realize that many of this is going to take a generation to handle some of these issues. All right, any other comments or updates?
From a regional perspective,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, the DART Silver Line commuter rail service is going to start on Saturday. So DART's been putting out information about that. DCT has been supporting in that message to our riders about enhanced connectivity for A-train riders to DFW Airport and those sorts of things. So a significant step in the regional commuter rail network.
Perfect. Yeah, we're very excited. We were talking earlier when I worked at Addison, we were talking about that 30 years ago and working on it 30 years ago, and excited that it's all becoming a reality. So time flies, but we wish to congratulate DART on such a milestone. So thank you. Any other comments related? All right. Next, information reports. Paul, do you want to mention these?
Mr. Chairman, I would just very briefly to say that your standard ridership report was in the board packet showing performance for the year. And I just want to highlight a couple of things now that the year is wrapped up. We saw overall ridership down just about 8% across the network, driven primarily by a decrease in UNT ridership of 23%. However, when you look at the Connect service and the A-Train and all those sorts of non-UNT services, that ridership was up 8% year over year. And so the comments that we're making about optimizing the University of North Texas service and working more closely together, I think are spot on, shows us that we got a good core network that we can build from. And to speak to something that the speaker at the beginning said, the GO Zone ridership decreased because we intentionally removed capacity from the city of Denton and reallocated it to Louisville and Highland Village. That means that those vans don't turn quite as many trips as they did when they were in Denton, but that's okay because every city received a ridership increase as a result of that change. Denton was up because of the bus network investment that we made, Highland Village was up, and Louisville was up. And so I think it's really a testament to the decision this board made to optimize and let's see what happens, successful implementation. And now we're building on that for ISP phase 3. So that's all I have to say about it. Thank you.
Perfect. Very good. All right, let's go to our future agenda item. We took action today to reschedule our upcoming board meeting. So I do want to remind the members and the public, we will have our next board meeting date, December 10th, 2025. And this is our community of interest items. And I would like to, this one, we're talking about our two members. We're losing 2 members of our family. And so I want to publicly thank Board Member Allison McGuire for her many years of service to DCTA. We came in about the same time. And I want to thank you for being such a strong and vocal advocate, not only for the city of Denton, but for micro transit. And Allison, you always came prepared. You read your backup. You did your homework. You asked thoughtful questions in a professional manner. And I want to thank you for your service to the board. We're going to miss you. We're going to miss you. I believe you were here during very pivotal decisions when we hired Paul and made some very good decisions that will improve this agency for decades to come. And so your fingerprints are on that. And so, we have 1 million people in this county, and a lot of those are our riders, and they all can't fit in this room here today. But on behalf of all of them, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for making their rides better. Thank you for being focused on the details, just like your question about the benches. Life is about details. Sometimes we think about the big picture, and we got to have 1 foot planted in the big picture and 1 foot planted in the details. Isn't that right, Jody? Don't we always talk about that at the courthouse? Life is made up of details. The big picture is made up of lots of details that go into that. And so I appreciate you being a detail person. And so thank you for your service, and we're going to miss you. And as part of just your background, Allison was a public school teacher, a music teacher, and I think we need more of those. I think there was some seem to be in the decline, and I think we need more of those. And thank you for that. But I wish you all the best on your legal profession, and I know that you want to do public sector law in some fashion, don't you? And so I'm glad you're continuing your public sector service, but in just a different way. So anyway, thank you. And I want to thank your husband and the kids for sharing you. I often say that our families are not elected or appointed, but they serve too, right? And so when you're on the council and here, you're giving up time with your family and the kiddos and your husband. So I just want to say thank you so much to them if you're watching one day. So anyway, thank you. Thank you on behalf of the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. And I want to thank my colleagues on the board here and the staff at DCTA. The progress that this agency has made during the time I've been here has just been extraordinary. And that's due to the efforts of a lot of people in this room and not in this room as well. So thank y'all. It's been amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul, would you like to say some thank yous as well?
I would, to echo, thank you, Board Member McGuire. Always appreciated the chance to have conversation with you, and I think we've worked really well together, and you've left a legacy again at a really pivotal time. And so, Judge, if you want, we could go up to the front.
Yeah, I'd like to go up there.
Someone can do this.
Okay, members, come on, let's get up here. We're going to do a group shot.
A little bit.
Small token of our appreciation for all of your dedication to us. We have nice flowers and then.
The more the merrier. Everybody get in a picture. Come on, you're all part of the.
And then to you, Allison McGuire, for self dedication, service, and leadership to our board of directors from 2021 to 2025. Thank you so much. Closer.
All right, everybody scoot up.
Okay.
Get in line. Scoot up. Oh, everybody get in. You see everybody?
Vertically
Here,
challenged.
get in, guys. Get in. I want.
Thank you so much. And we got one more.
We do have one more. Where's our microphone? Here. Javier, where are you? Get over here. Well, not only are we losing a great board member, we're losing a great member of the professional team here as well. And I was enjoying visiting with you today about your next chapter. And I'm kind of jealous. I'd like to go with you, but I got a job to do here that has a residency requirement. No, but I want to thank you for all your years of service. Is it 11? Is it 11? My gosh, I mean, you grew up in this organization and you left it better than you found it. I'm so excited about your new venture and what you're going to be doing, that you're staying into business. You know, Paul and I were talking about this, and we're proud of the fact that we're able to have a wonderful work family, and I call it a work family where people get to come in here, grow up through the organization, have different skills and abilities. We develop them, that we make them better and they make us better, right? And you made us better. You made, just like I told Allison, thank you on behalf of all of our riders. And it's 3.2 million rides. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of air quality. That's a lot of reliable transportation time. We're part of that. So I just want to, I lost my microphone. And I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for that. Thank you for a legacy of impact and change. And thank you for sticking with us. The agency's gone through a lot in 11 and a half years, right? We've gone through a lot. But you left it better than you found it. And so thank you for all the impact and the making this a better agency. And we wish you Godspeed and all of God's many blessings. Thank you so much.
You guys, where you're going? You guys tell where you're going.
You'll find out in 3 weeks. It'll be great.
It's
a room
with a view.
So Javier, on behalf of the agency, with appreciation for your leadership and dedication to DCTA from January 6, 2014, October 24th, 2025, you did make a difference. You left us better than you found us. When I found myself as interim CEO, having never worked in such a context before, he was the first one in my office to say, let me know how I can help.
That's right.
I've never forgotten.
That's right. All right, here we go.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Well, I think we're adjourned. Pleasure. All right, we're adjourned.
Thank you so much, Jim.